Welcome back to Chapter 10. In this video, we're talking about the U of the POUR method, or understandable guidelines. The first one is to make content readable. The W3C states to make text content readable and understandable. First off, unless you're actually writing the code, you want to make sure you're using human language in your content, regardless of whatever code you're using. You want to use the lang attribute in the opening HTML tag to specify what language is being used on the page, whether it's English, Spanish, French, German, or even Japanese. You want to make sure that all abbreviations have the appropriate definitions and have the associative abbreviation standards for when it comes to defining abbreviations. And unless this is a technical report or a medical paper, you want to use 2nd to 9th grade reading levels. There are different grading levels of determining reading scores, such as the Flesch-Kincaid grade level, the Gunning-Fogg score, or even the SMOG index. You can use these tools to determine the content of your page and what grade level it works with for your actual web page. Some readability tips are to avoid jargon or industry words. Again, unless it is a technical documentation or a medical paper, those are the only reasons why you should have jargon or industry words on there. If you have 2 commas in a sentence, break it up into different sentence fragments. That way it's easier to understand. You want to make sure to address the reader using you, your, etc. versus something personal like I, me, my, or other, unless this is a biography or an opinion piece that is referring to your own personal views. You want to use a mixture of headings, subheadings, and bulleted lists to break up the information so that way someone can easily scan the information instead of reading the whole article. If their interest piques, they can read the whole article. When it comes to paragraphs, you want to make sure paragraphs use 5 sentences or less to make it easy to understand. When you're using sentences, make sure to use 20 or less words instead of just having one long sentence run on a page. And you also want to use fewer syllables. For example, using the word big versus enormous. The next understandable guideline is predictable. Otherwise, make web pages appear and operate in predictable ways. For example, you want to make sure your navigation is consistent and the links are in the same order, and the components have the same functionality, including headings, form elements, and contact information. Basically, you don't want someone being confused when they navigate your site. They've already spent the couple of seconds it takes to learn how your site operates, and now they go to a different page on your same site and they have to relearn the process. Don't you get frustrated when Facebook makes a change to their design every few weeks? It makes it hard to navigate and, well, hard to use because you don't know where certain things are. Next is input assistance. Help users avoid and correct mistakes. Like we talked about in Chapter 9 with forms, you want to make sure that each field has a necessary label and instructions to instruct the user and client how the form should be filled out. If something isn't correct, make it easy to identify how to fix it versus just your information is incorrect. For example, if you have a super long form with a lot of fields on it, and a person fills out the form to the best of their ability, they click submit, and it says information is not correct or required information is not filled out. Well, it would be a lot better for you to tell them what information is required or take them back to that field so that they know that that specific field in that specific area needs to be filled out before the form can be submitted. That's it for the understandable guidelines. In the next video, we'll talk about robust guidelines and also working towards accessibility. If you have any questions regarding this or anything in Chapter 10, please send me an email or hit me up on Twitter and I'll get back to you the best way with the best possible answer.